Hello, SAFHER community. Today, we're going to do another SAFHER demo series. This is just one in a number of demonstrations that we're going to be providing. But today, we're going to talk about program group type and program type. So remember that program group type is basically the program that we talk about that you may look at just as your program. So we're talking about feed program, retail food program, manufactured food program. The next thing we're going to do then is create a program type from the admin console. And the program type, if you remember, is that license, permit, registration, certification that we have. So for a given program group type or program, say animal feed, we would have a license associated with that. And then the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to take what we've built on with the program group type and the program type, and as an internal user, as a clerk, we're going to go ahead and create and process an application for that license or program type from a facility entity or a business. Okay, so here we are. I am signed in to the admin console of our SAFHER platform. And from here, we're going to go in this left menu bar and look under program management. And you can see we have program types and program group types here. So what I'm going to start with is I've already created a program group type of animal food-M. And I'll walk through this really quick by showing the edit screen for this and walk you through how this was set up. So I named it here and determined which organization it belonged to. Remember, organization is whether you're a state rule or a hybrid or a home rule state, that's signified here. And then within that, you have an organization. I'm calling it Organization A here, but it might be your Department of Agriculture or your Department of Health. So we've called this the Animal Food-M and described it here. We've set up the renewal here, which is another functionality that's in the admin console, and that will be covered in a different demo later on. But just so you know that it is here, and I have set it to this test notice of renewal. I'm making this program group type active, and I can identify whether or not it needs the FEI number. I'm going to say no. And then we're going to identify the operations that happen within that program group type. So I've got this set up currently to a manufacturer, and then I can signify whether it's active or inactive. New functionality that's come out that we're not going to cover in depth right now. We'll do that at another time, but risk has been developed right now for those programs that need risk. So I have preset this to some default numbers for a high and low risk level for this particular program group type that I've created at this point. And you can see on the second tab of that, you can define risk categories that we've defined as types of food, types of processes, and types of operations being the three main risk factors that we can configure. But we'll do that in another session, just so that we have this preliminary data in here right now. Once you go through that step, then you go ahead and hit submit, and then your entity or your program group type is created. The next step is to create a program type. So remember, this is your license. So I'm going to create a new type of license that I can associate later on. So when I hit the add up here, I'm going to call this animal feed distribution. And I'm just going to copy that and put it down here in the description as well. I'm going to associate this with the program group type that I had previously created with this animal food-M and the operation type. And we're going to call that this is a license. So here's what we have in the system. Currently, we have certifications, licenses, permits, product registrations, and registrations. So these are the program classification types, or the program types that we can designate. We can also configure the revenue code type here as well. I'm going to go ahead and select one that I have pre-done and say that it's active. Whether or not it requires approval, I'm going to say yes. And whether or not there's payment required, and I'm going to say no at this time. You can describe or signify any attachments that you require with a program type application. Right now, I'm going to leave it blank, but you can complete this and add as many required attachments that you have, whether or not it's required or not, and whether or not it's active. And then you can set the expiration frequency of that program type. So I'm going to set this one to a fixed expiration date, assuming that this license expires annually on the last day of the year, meaning that your license period would be January through December. And this functionality, tonnage that you see here, is in development right now, but you'll be able to signify whether or not for this particular program type, tonnage reporting is required on that. I'm going to go ahead and click submit. Oops, I missed this. I do have to signify here. I can actually just X this out, and I don't need that there because there was a predefined blank there. I would have had to have completed it, but I did remove that, so I can hit submit. And now you can see that this new program type that we just created, animal feed distribution, is here and available. So I'm going to switch over to my internal user screen. So I'm here on the internal users, and I'm going to go to my facilities menu, and I'm going to create, well, I'm actually going to use a pre-existing facility, and I created this Jacob's feed. And I'm going to go into this facility, and I'm going to look at their programs. So these are the licenses that are associated with this program currently, and you can see it has a Animal Food M license. I'm going to create a program application up here in the top right corner and process a new application for that new program type that we just created for distribution. So I'm going to do that here. So this is the program group type, animal feed, a license. And here is the new program type that I just created in the admin console, animal feed distribution. And clicking next takes me to a verification screen where I can verify the entity information that's applying for this license. So you can see that this entity has, ownership, and it's got specific hours. Once this territory information section is developed, you can assign this entity to a given territory or region within your organization. So I've done that and verified it, and I'm going to select next. And program information page is not finished development yet, and neither is the review, but here is where you would verify then the program information, and then here the review the application overall, and then submit that application. Very similar process on the external side if you were an external user applying for a license or permit. But here we are. This you can see now on the Programs tab. You can see the previous license that's active, and you can see the new application that we just created, and it is pending approval. And notice here, there's a hyperlink here to that application ID. I can actually accept that as an internal user, clerk, and review that application. But up at the top here, I can also see all of the other information too, the entity information, that have been made on this, if there are any attachments, and any activity that was accomplished in this. I can add notes there and search notes, etc. On these attachments, I can also manage these attachments from here as well, add new attachments, etc. But I'm here on the application screen. I can review this application and I can approve or reject it. After I've reviewed all of that information, I'm going to go ahead and approve that application and submit. And now, if I go back to that entity, back into its programs, you will see that this approved application is now an active license because that's what we classified it as. So that wraps up a really quick demo of how in the admin console you can configure the program group type or program in your agency, as well as then create the program type or license, certification, permit, etc., and then create and process that application as an internal user in a clerk or supervisor role. That ends our demo for today. We look forward to creating and sharing more demos down the road. Thank you.